My name is Benjamin. I am 50 years old, and all my life I believed that marriage was a permanent union. I never thought that one day I would find myself in the center of a drama that would change everything. It all started with an unexpected text from my wife, Catherine, who was away on business. I met a very handsome young man named Aaron. I read those words over and over, trying to wrap my head around their meaning. Then came a second one. He's so charming, and I realized I want to change my life. I immediately called her. Catherine, are you serious? She just laughed. Oh, yes. I feel young and free. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I like it. I answered with one word, okay. And everything inside me turned upside down. When I checked her joint bank account, I discovered that the money was gone. Catherine had withdrawn every last cent. I immediately called my friend Lewis, a lawyer. She took our savings. What should we do? He advised me to immediately file a lawsuit. It's illegal, he said. We have a chance to get the money back. I called Catherine back. Why did you withdraw all the money? She answered coldly. I need it for my new life with Aaron. You don't care, do you? I tried to keep my composure and said, you know, this is illegal. She snorted, whatever you want, do whatever you want. I hurried to file a claim. Emotions were seething inside me. Pain, anger, disappointment. After all, we had been together for many years, making plans, saving for the future. But now everything was being destroyed by one careless act. Lewis gathered all the documents. Don't worry, he said. The court will most likely take your side. The main thing is to stay calm. On the day of the hearing, we stood in the hallway. I tried to calm down, but my heart was beating like crazy. Finally, the judge, a stern man named Mark Jenkins, heard both sides. Catherine's lawyer argued that she had the right to dispose of the money. But my name is Benjamin. I am 50 years old, and all my life I believed that marriage was a permanent union. I never thought that one day I would find myself in the center of a drama that would change everything. It all started with an unexpected text from my wife, Catherine, who was away on business. I met a very handsome young man named Aaron. I read those words over and over, trying to wrap my head around their meaning. Then came a second one. He's so charming, and I realized I want to change my life. I immediately called her. Catherine, are you serious? She just laughed. Oh, yes. I feel young and free. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I like it. I answered with one word, okay. And everything inside me turned upside down. When I checked her joint bank account, I discovered that the money was gone. Catherine had withdrawn every last cent. I immediately called my friend Lewis, a lawyer. She took our savings. What should we do? He advised me to immediately file a lawsuit. It's illegal, he said. We have a chance to get the money back. I called Catherine back. Why did you withdraw all the money? She answered coldly. I need it for my new life with Aaron. You don't care, do you? I tried to keep my composure and said, you know, this is illegal. She snorted, whatever you want, do whatever you want. I hurried to file a claim. Emotions were seething inside me. Pain, anger, disappointment. After all, we had been together for many years, making plans, saving for the future. But now everything was being destroyed by one careless act. Lewis gathered all the documents. Don't worry, he said. The court will most likely take your side. The main thing is to stay calm. On the day of the hearing, we stood in the hallway. I tried to calm down, but my heart was beating like crazy. Finally, the judge, a stern man named Mark Jenkins, heard both sides. Catherine's lawyer argued that she had the right to dispose of the money, but Lewis was quick to point out that this had been done without the consent of her other spouse. Unhappiness in a relationship is no excuse for financial misconduct, the judge emphasized, and ordered that all funds be returned to the account. As we left the room, Catherine hissed angrily, "You'll regret this." But I just shrugged. All I wanted was my money back. And my feelings for her faded the moment she admitted she was ready to start a life without me. While I was waiting in the hallway for the paperwork to be completed, a tall woman came up to me and introduced herself. Hello, I'm Vanessa. I saw how dignified you were. Not everyone can do that. I thanked her and noted her polite smile. It turned out that she was also there on legal business. We started talking, and for the first time in a long time, I felt lighter in my soul. Have you ever thought that meeting in court could be the beginning of something pleasant? She smiled. I was a little embarrassed. To be honest, no. I wasn't in the mood for romance today. She laughed. Well, life is full of surprises. When I got home, I found several missed calls from Catherine. It was as if my old life was trying to break in, but I was no longer willing to give in to it. Our past happy days came to mind, but the memories brought only sadness. It hurts, but I have to move on, I repeated to myself. The next day, Catherine called again. Why did you do all this? I told you I wanted my freedom. I sighed. You wanted freedom, but you had no right to steal money. I did what I had to do. You can live your life as you wish. There was anger in her voice. Aaron thinks what you did was mean. He says we'll get back at you. I replied, let him think whatever he wants. I don't care. A week later, Lewis called me into the office to sign the final paperwork. I met Vanessa again there. She smiled. I'm glad everything is going well for you. How are you feeling? I smiled slightly in response. Thank you. I'm slowly getting better. And you? She told me about her dispute with a business partner. I hope everything will be sorted out soon, she said. By the way, would you like to have a coffee after all this tension? I agreed, realizing that the company of a pleasant person would do me good. We sat in a cafe for a few hours, sharing life stories. I mentioned how I had built my marriage with Catherine, how we had dreamed of a future together, and now it had all ended so stupidly. Vanessa listened with sincere attention. Sometimes people change, but the pain of betrayal is, of course, strong. I hope time will heal everything. I felt a warm relief. There was no pity in her words, only understanding. From then on, we started corresponding and later dating. Vanessa helped me through all the formalities, the official divorce, the division of property. She was in business herself and understood all the intricacies of legal procedures. The main thing is not to let your emotions control you, she said. I smiled. It's easy for you to say you don't know what it's like when your wife leaves you for another man and takes all your money. She looked at me seriously. I know, maybe not in such detail, but I've also experienced betrayal. You just need to be able to say goodbye to the past. Soon I noticed that each message from Catherine caused me less and less pain. She continued to call, write, tried to insult, then ask for forgiveness. She threatened that Aaron will return everything to its place, but I no longer cared. I knew that these were empty threats. The court sided with me. The finances returned, and the love from her side died. Or perhaps it was never strong. In any case, I spent too much energy on worries. It was time to move on. Time after time, I spent more and more time with Vanessa. We walked through parks, drove to a small town in a neighboring state, ate ice cream on the boardwalk. I felt like I could rediscover my confidence around her. You know, Ben, I think there's more light in your eyes, she once remarked. I laughed. I guess so. It's like you help me breathe more freely. Finally, the day came when my divorce from Catherine was final. I walked out of court holding the papers and felt a tremendous sense of relief. It's definitely over now, I said out loud. And at that very moment, Vanessa was there. Congratulations. A new chapter is beginning. I looked at her, and I want you to be a part of it. She smiled, and I saw genuine joy in her eyes. Now I remember that nightmare of betrayal and trial without pain. Yes, it was a hard lesson, but it showed me that even in the darkest situation, you can find a way to the light. Fate brought me together with a man who gave me new hope. Catherine tried to contact me from time to time after that, but all her calls and letters remained unanswered. She chose her path, and I chose mine. No one could force me to return to the past, which had become only a painful memory. I don't know how her relationship with Aaron developed, and I don't want to know. My life is now on a different track. I am grateful to Lewis for his support and professionalism, because without him, I would not have defended my rights. But I am even more grateful to fate, which sent me Vanessa at the moment when I least expected such changes. Looking back, I understand that this story, which began with one message and the sudden disappearance of money, actually gave me the opportunity to rethink my entire life. I lost my marriage, but I gained a chance for real happiness. And nothing can return me to the state when I lived in deception, believing in the illusion of harmony. Now Vanessa and I are together. Sometimes I wake up at night, remembering the past, and I feel how important it was to go through all the trials. After all, only in this way could I free myself from false hopes and find a person with whom I really feel good. That simple okay, said once on the phone, turned into a real liberation for me. However, as it turned out, the story did not end after the trial. A couple of weeks later, an unknown number called me. I picked up the phone and heard a cheeky voice. "Hi, this is Aaron. Do you think we can leave it like this?" I answered calmly. "You had no right to use my money, and the court confirmed it." He chuckled. "We'll see how it ends." And the connection was lost. I was ready to put the past behind me, but Catherine and Aaron kept popping up. Meanwhile, my bond with Vanessa was growing stronger. "Don't let them drag you back into that mess," she'd say when I worriedly told her about the calls. I realized I didn't want to waste my energy on conflict. One day, I found an anonymous, threatening letter in my letterbox. I filed a police report. After that, things calmed down. Lewis confirmed that they had no grounds to reopen the case. "I think it will calm down," he said. Vanessa and I went to her relatives by the lake. We talked until late, went boating, admired nature. I felt light and understood that life was back on track. I sold the house where I lived with Catherine and bought a new place. We began to settle in, chose furniture, argued about the color of the walls. "This will be our common home," Vanessa said. After some time, Catherine sent a letter, sorry about everything. "I'm sad that you sold the house. I hope you are doing well." I read these lines without much emotion. Why return to the past? We had completed the necessary paperwork, and no amount of complaints could change the court's decision. I gradually let go of all my grievances. Vanessa saw that I was moving forward without regrets. "You once seemed so tired," she said, "and now you are a happy person." I smiled back. We decided to make our relationship official. We had a modest wedding, inviting only our closest friends and family. When we exchanged rings, I felt a freedom and joy that I had not felt for a long time. "Thank you for taking a chance on me," Vanessa said. "And thank you for coming into my life," I replied. Now we live in peace and harmony. My experience with Catherine taught me the value of loyalty and sincerity. Sometimes hard lessons happen, but they lead to better changes. I am grateful to fate that everything happened this way. I felt a sense of peace until one night I got a call. I could tell it was Aaron. "You think you've bought everything, but the truth will come out." I calmly said that we had nothing more to discuss and hung up. But this time I felt no fear. "If anything is needed, we'll call the police," Lewis advised. But things calmed down. Soon after, we threw a party for friends to celebrate the adoption of a puppy named Oliver. He became a ray of joy in our home. Lewis quietly said to me at the party, "Aaron tried to find out something about your accounts, but it didn't work." I just shrugged, let him waste his energy. Months passed. I received a notice that all old cases were closed. There would be no more lawsuits. Finally, I breathed out, showing the letter to Vanessa. She smiled. "Now we can really live." And we went on a short trip to the northern states, taking Oliver with us. We walked through the woods, admired the starry sky, rested our souls. I felt that I had finally let go of the past. Sometimes I remembered how it all started with a single message and money disappearing from the account. But now there was love, trust, and harmony in my life. No empty threats from the past could destroy it. I knew that I had made the right decision to stand up for my rights and refuse an insincere relationship. When we returned, I organized a small celebration and invited my closest friends, those who had always supported me. Everyone gathered in our new house. Mom made a toast. "I'm proud of you, son. After all the troubles, you found your happiness." Margaret brought her signature pie, Louis, champagne. We laughed, reminisced about past events. Louis said, "Remember how you trembled before the trial? And now look how you hold up." I just smiled. "Thank you, my friend. Without you and the others, I couldn't have done it." Later, after some of the guests had left, Vanessa and I walked out onto the porch. It was a starry night, and Oliver was already asleep in his basket. I hugged my wife and said, "If it weren't for all the trials, we wouldn't have learned to truly appreciate life." She looked at me with warmth. Now we know exactly what it means to hold on to those you love. The next morning, I woke up in a joyful mood. The house was filled with the scent of a new day. I saw Vanessa playing with Oliver in the garden and realized that the past had finally let me go. It's good that I didn't give up then, I thought. However, I could not forget how much I had to endure to reach this happy ending. Sometimes Vanessa and I would drink tea and remember how fate had brought us together at the court hearings. "Do you remember that day?" she asked. "Of course," I answered. Then I thought my life was falling apart. But it turned out that everything was for the best. We talked about plans, mountains, travel, a campfire under the stars. Friends encouraged, "Just don't forget the photos." I felt that I had found not only love, but also support from those around me. When Aaron's threats were recalled, I felt only a slight sadness about people's envy. In moments of revelation, I confessed. I thought I could never trust a woman again. Vanessa looked at me. Sometimes a ray of light is enough to break out of the darkness. I'm glad we found each other. We started to improve the garden, flower beds in bloom, breakfasts in the fresh air. I realized that I had become the happy person I could only dream of before. The past seemed distant. The main lessons: to stand up for your truth, not to lose yourself, and to believe that happiness will come. Sometimes I would whisper thanks to fate. Each trial led to what was truly important. Once, when we were driving with a box of gifts to Mom and John, Vanessa asked, "You don't regret anything?" I smiled. "No, I don't regret it. I'm happy that I didn't remain a prisoner of the past." The road was clear and straight, a symbol of a future without resentment or fear. I realized that this is exactly what the path forward should be, filled with light and faith in the best. One day, Vanessa and I were walking down a quiet street and stopped at a bakery. She was smiling as she talked about new ideas for the garden, and I thought, this is it, my real thing. We each took a pie, savoring every bite. In the evening, when we returned home, we decided to have a small culinary experiment. We laughed at our efforts, but it turned out very tasty. At dinner, we talked about how important it is to enjoy simple things: the comfort of home, warm weather, the opportunity to share laughter with a loved one. Oliver was happily running around, asking for a piece of the treat. I looked at him and realized that I could never have imagined I would have a beloved woman and a four-legged friend with whom I would find true happiness. Later, over cups of tea in the living room, Vanessa said thoughtfully, "Sometimes it's amazing how quickly we've become a real family." I replied, "We wanted it, and we've been through a lot. Now we appreciate every joy." Several years after that fateful turn, when everything old was left somewhere behind and the new life gave joy and confidence, I, Benjamin, often think about the path we have traveled and how much has changed. Every day now seems special. The morning rays of the sun playing on the windows of the new house, quiet conversations over a cup of aromatic coffee, Vanessa's laughter spreading through the spacious rooms. All this reminds us that life can give hope even after the darkest moments. Looking back, I remember those days when the pain of betrayal seemed insurmountable. Every text from Catherine, every call filled with threats and mistrust, echoes in my memory, but now it is only a distant noise. Fate taught me the importance of being able to forgive, not for the sake of another, but for yourself, so as not to hold the burden of grievances in your heart. I remember how one day, sitting on the porch of a new house, I quietly said, "No matter what happens, I choose to live on." These words became a motto that helped me overcome all obstacles and open up new horizons. Vanessa, who became not just a life partner for me, but my best friend and support, brought warmth and calm to my everyday. We survived many a storm together, and each time, looking into each other's eyes, we realized that our connection was growing stronger. You know, Ben, I realized that true happiness is the ability to let go of the past and live in the present, she often said. And these words served as a reminder to me that the mistakes of the past should not determine our future. Now that our home is filled with the laughter of our children and the joy of every little thing, I feel like life has a meaning. Vanessa and I explore the corners of our neighborhood together, meeting old friends and discovering new hobbies. Every morning begins with a walk in the nearby park, where we watch nature awaken from its winter sleep and discuss plans for the coming day. In such moments, I realize that the true strength of a person lies in the ability to appreciate moments of happiness despite past trials. One day, during a long conversation with Vanessa over dinner, she quietly asked me, "Do you remember those dark days when it seemed like everything was lost?" I nodded and replied, "Yes, I do." But that's when I learned how important it is to not give up and to believe in the best. Her eyes filled with tenderness, and she continued, "Every blow of fate, every loss makes us stronger. It's as if we harden our hearts so that we can give love and warmth to others." These words resonated with me as a deep truth that I have come to accept over the years. Now our home is not only a fortress of comfort, but also a meeting place where a large family gathers. In the evenings, we gather around a large table, remembering past difficulties and laughing at how everything was different. My parents, my brothers and sisters, as well as new friends whom we met after the divorce, have become a real support